Here's what I decided to title tonight's message. Tonight's message is, how bad do you want it? If you're a note taker, I want you to make sure that you grab a notepad and a pen, and I want you to write this down. How bad do you want it? And I was inspired by this message because some of you know I got married just last month in Mexico. And while I was in Mexico, the resort had this pool, and one of the activities by the pool was water polo. And you know what? I had never really officially played organized water polo. And for those of you who have no idea what water polo is, it's just basically a game that's played in the pool, in some kind of pool. We get in the pool, and there's basically two goals set on opposite ends of the pools, two separate teams. And similar to soccer and some of the other games, of course, the intention or the whole purpose of the game is to attempt to score and throw the ball into your opponent's net. And naturally, they do have goalkeepers and teammates. And so I thought that this was just going to be a very friendly game. I thought that this was just going to be an activity for some of our wedding guests and the people there. But lo and behold, before you knew it, this game got very, very serious. And the moments that it got very serious, there would be a moment in which somebody had the ball and somebody decided to abandon all the rules, and the person who had the ball would literally get attacked. And before you know it, you had about 5, 6 people all around each other in a huddle, all fighting and pulling in order to grab the ball. And it was crazy because I had no idea that the game got that intense. I had no idea. I'm extremely competitive, and I had no idea that there'd be moments where we would literally be fighting for the ball. And so when I think about it, I realized that that ball that many of us were sort of huddled around in the pool, that ball that we were all pursuing, that ball that we were pushing and pulling and doing everything to walk away from, that ball that we put so much energy and effort in trying to be the one that walked away with that ball in many ways represents our goals and our dreams. And if you're somebody right now, you've got a goal or a dream or something that you've been wanting to pursue, something that you want to attain and you want it badly, I want you to think about what that thing is. I don't know what it is for you. Maybe perhaps you want to start a business. Maybe for you, you've always wanted to be able to tap into your goals and your gifts. Maybe for you that it's because you always wanted to have a fulfilling relationship. Maybe for you, you've had the desire, the dream to be able to travel the world. I don't know what that goal, that desire, what that thing is for you, that thing that you want so badly that you can literally taste it, that thing that you want so badly that you're willing to pursue it, that thing that you want so badly that you're willing to fight for it, that thing that you want so badly that you're willing to jump in the water and make some things happen. And so I want you to think about what that thing is for you. And I wish that I could open up the lines right now and hear all of the things that you want. But I can tell you there's some things that I learned in the process of playing water polo that I believe that you can apply right now in pursuit of your goal, your dream, whatever it is, this thing that you want so badly. There's some universal lessons that I learned in the process of being in that pool and being in those moments when we're all sort of fighting for the same ball. I believe that there's some universal principles that you could apply right now to your personal life as you pursue your goals and your dreams and the things that you want. And so if you're a note taker, I want you to grab your paper and grab that pen. And the first thing that I want you to realize is when it comes to your goals and your dreams, that number one, that you have to pursue it. In other words, it's not going to come to you. You see, when we're in the pool and we're playing water polo, there was that critical moment where somebody had the ball in their hand. And one of the people on the opposing team would all of a sudden just bear hug this individual to try to get the ball. And then other teammates would notice that okay, there's a struggle here for the ball. And then everyone would sort of jump in and come after the ball. And then next thing you know, you had 5, 6, 7 guys all in the pool fighting for the same ball. They were all pursuing the same thing. Now, here's what I observed, and here's what I could tell you right now. That all the people who chose not to pursue the ball, one thing was guaranteed, they never ended up having the ball. And so the people who sat on the sidelines, those that said, hey, you know what, those guys are being too physical, they're being too rough, none of them ended up with the ball. And here's the other thing that I can tell you right now is that if you really wanted it, there are times where this struggle would start off on one side of the pool and it was moving, so you had to continually pursue it. And you see, the same thing applies to whatever it is that you're looking to accomplish right now. You see, if you're looking to start a business, trust and believe that this is something you're going to have to pursue. No one's going to come and just hand you a business. You see, if you've been wanting to write a book, you have to understand this is something that you have to pursue and be willing to put in the time, the effort, the energy. No one is just going to go ahead and hand you your book. You see, if there's something that you've been wanting to develop, this gift, this skill that you've been wanting to take to the next level, at some point you're going to have to pursue it. You're going to have to develop it and do the things that are required. Unfortunately, no one's going to just come and hand it to you. You see, for some of you who know my story, and I get asked this question all the time, they say, Andy, help us to understand, Andy. I mean, at one point you're the CPA, you're working for PricewaterhouseCoopers, and you're with this company, and now you are a motivational speaker, a professional speaker, a strategic storytelling coach, a trainer. I don't get it. How did you make the leap? And you see, when they asked me that question, I wish I could say, you know, one day I was sitting in my corporate office and somebody just came and opened the door and said, hey, Andy, you know what? Do you want to become a coach? Hey, Andy, do you want to become a speaker? Hey, Andy, we believe that there's something in you and we just want to present you with an opportunity to be able to get on the stage and talk to people. We want to present you with an opportunity to go on national television. We want to present you with an opportunity to earn thousands of dollars speaking in 1 hour. We want to present you with that opportunity. I wish that that's the story, but unfortunately, that's not going to happen. You see, I had to pursue it. I had to make the conscious decision that this was something that I wanted. And you see, in order for me to pursue it, I had to relinquish and I had to walk away from what I already knew. I had to step away from what was comfortable for me. I had to step away from the fact that I had spent all this time getting my college education. I had to step away from the fact that I was working with this amazing company. I had to step away from the fact that I had a check that was hitting my bank account every 2 weeks. See, I had to walk away from that, and I had to set my eyes and my intentions on the thing that I wanted to pursue. And at the moment, what I wanted to pursue was to become an entrepreneur. And eventually that developed into me pursuing developing my gift and my skills and my talents as a speaker. And then I had to pursue a career as a professional speaker. What I'm trying to get you to understand is that no one is going to hand you whatever it is that you want in life. No. You see, when we were in that pool, no one ever decided to just walk up and just hand somebody the ball. No, if you wanted the ball, you had to pursue it. And the same thing applies to your goals and your dreams. So I want you to think about right now, what is it that you need to pursue? And what do you need to do in the midst of the pursuit in order to get closer to the ball, in order to get closer to your dream, in order to get closer to writing that book, in order to get closer to you actually going back and getting the degree, in order to get closer to that new position that you want in your company, in order to get closer to the opportunity to be able to use this gift, this skill talent that you have, and be able to turn your passion and this talent that you have into profits, to monetize it. The only way that you're going to be able to do that is you're going to have to pursue it. And so if you've been waiting on the sidelines, you've been waiting on somebody to come hand it to you, allow me to save you some time and help you to realize that you're going to have to pursue it. So that's the first thing that I need you to write down on your paper, is not only do you start off with the title, how bad do you want it? But when the answer is, I want it really, really bad, then the first thing is you've got to be willing to pursue it. Write that down. Now, once you have decided that you're going to pursue it, And so whatever that means for you, whether it means that you're going to have to now go to personal development events, whether it means you're going to have to start getting some coaching, whether it means you're going to have to leave your comfort zone, whether it means that you're going to have to start working and developing your talents, your skills, your gifts, whatever it means for you, once you get in the process of pursuing it, here's the other thing that I need you to write down. I need you to understand, you will have to put up a fight. That's right. At some point along the process, you will have to fight for your goals. You will have to fight for your dreams. Let me tell you something. At first, when we were playing water polo and somebody had the ball, and the next thing you know, one of the opponents put their hands on the ball, and then another teammate came to help out. And next thing you know, it was 6, 7 people all going after the ball. Make no mistake about it, it literally turned into a fight. We were fighting for the ball. I can remember at moments wanting to get that ball and sticking my hands in there. And once I had my hands on the ball, I remember throwing my elbows. I remember putting my weight against the person on my right and my left. I remember trying to push them in different angles. We were literally fighting for the ball. And make no mistake about it, as I was throwing elbows, there was elbows coming back at me. As I was pushing forward, people were pushing back at me. As I was trying to pull someone's arm off, somebody was trying to pull my arm off. You see, it was an all-out fight. And let me tell you something. When you're going after your goals and your dreams, yeah, this thing that you really want, this thing that you've been pursuing, make no mistake about it, you will have to fight. You see, somebody once said this, you may not get everything that you fight for in life, but everything you get in life, you will have to fight. Write that down. That's right. You may not get everything that you fight for in life. So you understand that there are going to be some moments that you put up a fight. You're going to go after some things and you just may not get it. But make no mistake about it, that the things that you do acquire in life, the things that you do accomplish, your goals and your dreams, this thing that you are pursuing, in order for it to happen, you will have to fight for it. And so the question is, are you willing to put up a fight? Are you willing to encounter some struggles? Are you willing to get some bumps and bruises along the way? I can tell you that, I left corporate America in 2004. And so it's been literally 10 years. It's been a decade now since I've been on this journey pursuing my goals and my dreams. But let me tell you something. Throughout that journey, I've had to put up some fights. There's been some things that have happened in that journey in which I had to put up a physical fight. There are some things that happened in that journey where I had to put up a mental fight to not retreat and go back and ask for my job back. A mental fight to believe that it was possible that I could make some things happen. A mental fight to stretch and grow and be able to develop and do the things that I'm doing right now. That it's been a fight to learn and acquire new skills. It's been a fight to figure out the information and figure out the right way to do things and the wrong way to do things. It's been a fight to figure out systems and the different ways to make things happen. It's been a fight to get clients and ensure that I can make some things happen. Let me tell you something, that when you're talking about going after your goals and your dreams, that you will have to fight. Along the process, you're going to encounter some struggles. Along the process, there may be times that you second guess yourself. Along the process, there may be times that you even want to quit. Along the process, you may be asking yourself that, why did I even want this? But let me tell you this, if you answered the question at the very beginning when I asked you, how bad do you want it? And if you're saying to yourself that, Andy, I want it really, really bad. I mean, I want to start this business really, really bad. I want to get this degree really, really bad. I want to be able to double, triple my income really, really bad. I want to be able to get out of debt really bad. I want to have a fulfilling relationship really bad. I want to be able to strengthen my faith really bad. When you answer and you say to yourself that I want this thing really bad, then what it means is that you're going to have to fight, and understand that in the process of fighting, you may very well get hurt. In the process of fighting, you may encounter some bumps and some bruises. In the process of fighting, you may find something that knocks you out temporarily. In the process of fighting, you may even get knocked down on the ground. But realize this, that here's what Stephen Duncanson said. He said that life, including this thing that you're pursuing in your life, trust and believe that it is a battle for territory. And And once you stop fighting for what you want, what you don't want will automatically take over. That's what he said. He said, once you stop fighting for what you want to write that book, once you stop fighting for what you want to take your business to the next level, once you stop fighting for what you want to be able to tap into your goals and your dreams and make this thing that's in you to come forward, once you stop fighting for what you want, what you don't want will automatically take over. What you don't want, mediocrity. What you don't want, to look back and say, only if I would have tried. What you don't want, the regret of having not pursued your goals and your dreams. What you don't want, to know that you didn't give it your all. What you don't want, to know in your heart that there's still some gifts, some treasures, some talents that are in you. You know, Dr. Miles Monroe, who unfortunately has recently passed away. This man was a thought leader. This man was an author. This man was an extraordinary individual. He was a pastor, a minister, a father, a brother. And one of the quotes that he's most known for, and I'm going to paraphrase it for you, but what he was helping people to understand is that one of the richest places in the planet is not where you would expect it to be. He was explaining that the richest places in the planet is not where you expect it to be, where you would find the oils in the world. It's not where you would find some of the precious gems in the world. It's not all these places that you would expect the riches of the world to be. No, he said no. He said the richest places in the world are where? He says it's in the graveyard. And people say, well, what do you mean, Dr. Miles Monroe? How could the richest place in the world be the graveyard? But he says, because it is there in the graveyard that you'll find books that weren't written. It is there in the graveyard that you'll find businesses that weren't started. It is there in the graveyard that you will find individuals with their dreams and all the things that they wanted still in them that they didn't give birth to. And so what I'm saying to you is this: understand that somewhere along the process, somewhere along the journey, unless you want to go to your grave with your dreams, with your talents, with your gifts, and all the things that you have to offer in you, you're going to have to be willing to put up a fight. Yeah. You got to fight. And so the question is, are you willing to put up a fight? Which brings me back to the original question of how bad do you want it? You see, if you've been taking notes, you know that number one is when you want your goals and your dreams bad enough, number one, you've got to be willing to pursue it. And if you've been taking notes, you know that number two is that you've got to be willing to put up a fight. Why? Because you may not get everything that you fight for in life, but everything that you get in life, you will have to fight for it. And here's what I know: if you don't fight for it, like when we were in the pool and we were playing water polo, if you don't fight for it, trust and believe that somebody else is willing to fight for it. Somebody else will take your place. Somebody else will act on your goals, your dreams. Somebody else will write the book. Somebody else will start the business. Somebody else will do the invention. Somebody else will step in your place. So you've got to be willing to fight. Now, here's the third thing that I need you to understand, and this is the key. If you want to come out victorious, you have to want it more than anyone else. I want you to write that down. You have to want it more than anyone else. Let me tell you something. You know what? If we had the ability when we were playing water polo, if we had the ability to press the pause button when you saw about 8, 6, 7 men all fighting for the ball, if we had the ability to pause hit a pause button in real time and just hold the frame for a moment and allowed you to analyze where the ball was and analyze all the people who are fighting for the ball. And so you would say to yourself, okay, well, I'm looking at this guy. He's about 6'3". He's about 230 pounds. He's got about 4 of his fingers on the ball with his right hand, and he's barely got a grip over there on the left. Now you've got this other guy here. This guy is probably about 5'7", probably about 170 pounds. Okay. And he's got, just a little bit of his hand on the ball. Okay. We've got this other guy here. Now let's see here. This guy is about 5'11". He's about 215 15 pounds. Let's see where he's gripped. You see, now you could have attempted to do a mathematical calculation by looking at the physiques, by looking to see how good of a grip they had on the ball, by looking to see if anybody else was pulling their arms back and so forth. But here's one thing that you wouldn't be able to account for. And let me tell you something, what I observed at the end of the day, the person who came out with the ball was not always the strongest person. It wasn't always the person who had the best grip originally. No, the person who came out with the ball was the person who wanted it the most, because that was the person that was willing to fight tooth and nail for it. That was the person that when we got to the point where we had been fighting for the ball for quite some time and fatigue started to kick in, and other people who were stronger, other people who had a better grip because of the fatigue decided to let go. That was the person that when other people said to themselves, hey, you know what, this is just a game, it's not that serious, let me go ahead and pull back. No, that's the person that said to themselves that no matter what, I'm the one that's coming out with this ball. That's the type of mindset, that's the type of mentality that's required in order for you to come out with that ball. And let me tell you something, the same thing applies to life. And when you're talking about your goals and your dreams, when you're talking about making this thing happen, this thing that you've been really wanting, this thing that you've been pursuing, that you've got to get to the point where you've got to say to yourself that I want this more than anybody else. I want this more than the person on my right. I want this more than the person on my left. No disrespect to them, and I'm not wishing them any bad luck. All I'm saying is if they are going after the same thing that I'm pursuing, trust and believe, if we both are going to get the same opportunity and everything else is even, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to get it every time. Why? Because I want it more than they do. And so you've got to resolve within yourself that I want this thing, whatever it is for you, more than anybody else. That's what it's going to require. That's what it's going to take in order for you to come out victorious, in order for you to make this thing happen. You know, just the other day on my monthly coaching call, I had the opportunity to have this gentleman be one of our guest speakers, and he started a company. And when he first started the company, he was fortunate enough to have two of his business partners that joined him in his second year of starting the company. And when his business partners came aboard of this technology firm that he has, that something extraordinary happened. I mean, business just skyrocketed, and they had over $1 million in gross sales. And this is within 1 year of his partners coming and joining him in the business. I mean, things were great. But what happened is the following year was an election year. The following year, unfortunately, there were some changes in the economy. The economy began to shift, and many of the accounts and the clients that they had, many of those clients went out of business. Many of those individuals that they had been banking on were no longer consumers. They were no longer clients. And unfortunately, this company that at one point made over $1 million in gross sales, this company was now struggling. Not only were they struggling, but they had accumulated quite a bit of debt. And he says that when it got to that point, some real difficult decisions had to be made. Because now the company was no longer profitable. Now the company had 3 owners. On top of that, the company had quite a bit of debt. And on top of that, unfortunately, they lost most of their major accounts. And he said that when things got really, really, really difficult, he said both of his business partners right away realized that the company was no longer profitable, realized that the economy had shifted, realized that they had lost all type of clients. Both of his business partners immediately decided that they wanted to withdraw from the business. And not only did they want to withdraw from the business, but they decided that they were going to go back and become employees. So they started submitting resumes and decided to go back and get a regular job. And not only that, but because of the fact that the business had so much debt, both of them were willing to go ahead and relinquish all of their ownership interests in the business because they didn't want to be responsible for all of the debt. And now here's this guy who is the only man standing. Both of his business partners decided to go back and get regular jobs. Both of his business partners have decided to sign off on their ownership interest because they have basically counted the business as being dead and they don't want to be responsible for the debt. And so they've signed off. And then here's what they didn't know. What they didn't know is that this man wanted it bad enough. What they didn't know was that he was going to be willing to fight. What they didn't know was that he was going to dedicate the next 2 years to rebuilding the business. What they didn't know is that he would regrow the business, in which gross sales would go to $2.7 million. You see, what they didn't know was that he would find different avenues and different ways to acquire new customers. What they didn't know is that he would eventually pay off the debt, the very debt which was the reason why both of the other business partners were willing to sign off on their ownership interest. You see, what they didn't know was that he wanted it really, really, really bad. Bad enough to go through the process, bad enough to be curled up in his bed and avoiding phone calls from creditors, bad enough to be late on his mortgage, bad enough to be up late night trying to figure out how he was going to be able to keep the business going, bad enough to be calling up debtors and working out payment plans, bad enough to be on the internet and trying to figure out new ways to create additional streams of income in the business, bad enough to start getting up every day and going to different meetings and finding ways to capture new clients. He wanted it really, really bad. And so my question for you is, when it comes to your goals and your dreams, whatever it is that you're working on right now, how bad do you want it? Yeah. That was my question for you at the beginning of this message. How bad do you want it? How bad do you want it? And when you decide that you really, really want it, let me remind you that number one, you're going to have to make sure that you pursue it. Trust and believe that nobody is going to just come and hand you your goals and your dreams. So you've got to be willing to pursue it. You've got to go after that thing like we were going after that ball when we were playing that water polo. I mean, you have to go after it with everything that you got and realize that once it's in sight, once you can even get any just the tip of your finger on your goals and your dreams, understand that once you're even in position, that you've got to be willing to fight, because you may not get everything that you fight for in life, but everything that you get in life, trust and believe, you will have to fight for it. And so understand this, that you're going to have to fight for this dream. You're going to have to fight for this thing to happen. And finally, understand this, that the way for you to come out victorious, the way for you to come out with the crown, the way for you to come out on top is you have to want it more than anyone else. You have to want it more than the person on your right and your left. You have to want it more than your haters. You have to want it more than the naysayers. You have to want it more than your past disappointments or whatever has happened to you in the past. You have to want it more than the obstacles. You have to want it more than the challenges. You have to want it more than what happened yesterday. You have to want it more even after hearing no 10, 15, 20 times. You have to want it. You have to want it. You have to want it. And I'm going to ask you one last time, how bad do you want it? Yeah. Think about that. This has been Andy Henriquez reminding you to always show up for your life. Because if you don't, ladies and gentlemen, no one else will.
Yes, yes.